Some breaking news here. In a stunning turn of events, Democrats just flipped a district in deep red Alabama that voted for Donald Trump by a margin of 62 to 37. That is a 25-point margin in a district that Trump won in 2020. And here's the kicker. Democrat Maryland Lands ran expressly on protecting abortion rights and protecting IVF after the Alabama Supreme Court ripped it away as a result of Trump ending Roe v. Wade. Immediately following her victory, Lands released a statement reading, "Today, Alabama women and families sent a clear message that will be heard in Montgomery and across the nation. Our legislature must repeal Alabama's no exceptions abortion ban, fully restore access to IVF, and protect the right to contraception." In other words, far from running away from Republicans' attacks on women's reproductive rights, she ran on that issue and won. And if she can win in deep red Alabama by a 25-point margin, no less, that signals dangerous territory for the Republicans come November. The Biden campaign was quick to jump on the news, too, releasing a statement reading, "Last month, Alabamans lost access to fertility treatments because of Donald Trump. Tonight, the voters in Alabama's 10th House District elected a pro-choice champion in Maryland Lands, sending Trump and extreme MAGA Republicans a clear message. They know exactly who's to blame for restricting their ability to decide how and when to build their families, and they're ready to fight back." Trump overturned Roe v. Wade, paving the way for attacks on women's freedoms like we saw in Alabama. Now he's running to ban abortion and gut access to IVF nationwide. Tonight's results should serve as a major warning sign for Trump. Voters will not stand for his attacks on reproductive health care. This November will be no different. And let's be clear, this shouldn't come as a surprise. Biden himself predicted exactly this just a few weeks back during his State of the Union speech, where he warned the conservative justices what their overreach was about to usher in for the party that they're acting on behalf of.
Decision to overturn Roe v. Wade, the Supreme Court majority wrote the following, and with all due respect, justices, women are not without electoral power. Electoral or political power. You're about to realize just how much you were right about that. Clearly.
You're about to realize just how much they have. And obviously, it didn't take long for that point to pan out. And of course, by now, it's too late for Republicans to run away from what they've unleashed. Still, Donald Trump is out there calling for nationwide bans on abortion. This was just from a few days ago.
New York Times piece by Maggie Haberman and others says that you have discussed with your advisors having a ban, the possibility of a ban on abortion after 16 weeks, plus the three exceptions that I know are important to you: rape, incest, life of the mother.
Right, very important.
I don't know if it's possible to make both sides happy in this debate because people have such strong moral feelings, but you were quoted as saying to one of your aides, well, I like 16 weeks because it's a nice round number, 4 months. Do you think that could be politically acceptable?
So we're going to find out, and pretty soon I'm going to be making a decision. And I would like to see if we could do that at all, Howie. I would like to see if we could make both sides happy. Look, a lot of things were done with Roe by killing it. Number one, we brought it back to the states.
Of course, your justices to the Supreme Court that made that possible.
They did.
Yeah.
And you know, they did something that from a lot of standpoints is extremely good. Number one, the Democrats are the radicals on this issue because it's okay to have an abortion in 7, 8, 9 months and even after birth, according to that.
Well, I know that's
and I will say this.
I know that's in
if you speak about the subject right, we actually have, it's like fertilization. On fertilization, you saw I took the lead on that, and it's actually now our subject. It's a positive. We want to help women. And that could have been a very negative thing. We want to help women. With Roe, you take a look at what was going on. Abortions in the 7th, 8th, and 9th month. One thing that you say is nobody wants that.
He says, I want to see if I can make both sides happy. How about this? This isn't a negotiation, and we're not going to settle for 4 weeks, or 8 weeks, or 12 weeks, or 16 weeks, or whatever other nice round number you arbitrarily landed on, because reproductive freedom isn't negotiable. That's it. You don't get to strip rights away that Americans have enjoyed for 50 years and then present yourself as some white knight by deigning to give back a little bit. We will get all of those rights back by flipping districts big and small, conservative and liberal across the entire country, and we will settle for nothing less than that. How's that for a negotiation? The fact is that Republicans know that they've royally screwed themselves. They've sat idly by and watched as Democrats have trounced them in races across the country, even in red states like Ohio and Kentucky and Kansas and now in Alabama. Like, think about that for just a moment. Democrats just flipped a seat that voted for Donald Trump in just the last general election cycle and won it by 25 points. In fact, Dobbs is now virtually unilaterally responsible for the single most significant electoral realignment of our lifetimes. So it is rich that Donald Trump thinks he has room to negotiate a compromise here, when it sure does seem that the compromise Americans are willing to engage in is to vote out every Republican and leave it at that. And by the way, I already know what the inevitable attacks are going to look like while Republicans continue to twist themselves into knots to try and make abortion bans seem palatable. They're going to claim that Democrats are the true extremists because we're all just out here aborting babies in the 9th month without a care in the world. Here are the facts, and I know some of you have heard this before, but I will repeat it every day if I have to. According to the CDC, almost 99% of abortions occur before 21 weeks. Republicans love to frame this as liberals just nonchalantly aborting babies on the day of their delivery like it's no big deal, but that's not what's happening in reality. Again, virtually all abortions are happening before 21 weeks. And so think about why those last 1% of women are getting abortions after 21 weeks. The reasons range from women not knowing they were pregnant, to fetal anomalies, to health risks to the mother. And so banning abortion after an arbitrary date isn't going to stop the kinds of hysterical reasons that Republicans fearmonger about, like infanticide, because infanticide isn't actually happening. That is a figment of Republicans' imagination. All it's going to do is impact the 1% of women who are already dealing with some major trauma. Again, 99% of abortions are happening early anyway. The only post-21-week abortions are the result of some major complication. That's what's being impacted. That's who Republicans would be making life more difficult for. The women who are already suffering due to some unforeseen issue or complication. Republicans would be targeting the only women who are already dealing with immeasurable pain. They will be finding the single most vulnerable, desperate, heartbroken women there are and imposing an unnecessary burden onto them for solely political reasons. And let's be clear, they know that, but they're saying whatever they need to say to pander to the base to win an election, because it's not about helping others, it is about helping themselves. Even Kellyanne Conway is playing defense and trying to put lipstick on this pig. Listen to what she says here.
Post-Dobbs world. I'll tell you what.
Do you think Trump should come out for a 15-week ban?
Well, it's a national minimum standard, and it's not a ban. And he has said, I think he's told Sean Hannity a couple weeks ago when they were at the border, he was looking at that. He's also said 16 weeks or 4 months. But remember, as president, he had committed to signing into law a 20-week.
A national minimum standard, otherwise known as, you guessed it, a nationwide abortion ban. It would ban abortion up to whatever standard they settle on, whether it's 16 weeks, because that's, quote, a nice round number, according to Trump, or even less, as this is the case with so many other Republican governors and legislatures in states across the country. They've already shown what they want to do, and no amount of flowery language in the world is going to hide that. So let's be perfectly clear here. If Donald Trump is reelected, there will 100% be a nationwide abortion ban. And not just in red states, in all states. That means that people in California, in New York, in Vermont will all be subject to the same draconian ban. That's what this election's about. Trump will try to spin it, he'll change what he says depending on who he's talking to, he'll try and make his unpopular ban seem reasonable. It's all noise. The American people have made abundantly clear where they stand on this issue, and it's as far away from Trump and his MAGA acolytes as is humanly possible. And in the same way that we all made our voices heard in 2022 on the back of Dobbs, and in 2023 on the back of Dobbs, and now in 2024 on the back of Dobbs, we're gonna do it again in November. And then our Democratic majorities will codify Roe into law once and for all. Because despite the GOP's best efforts to trade away our rights in service of their Christo-fascist fever dreams, we're making our opposition to it as clear as humanly possible. Before you go, I need some help. Please subscribe to the channel and do your part to help grow the progressive media ecosystem. I don't do sponsorships or paid ads, I won't ask for money, but just subscribing to this channel goes a really long way, and it helps get the message out to more people. The subscribe button is right here on the screen. You can also subscribe to my Spanish language channel, which I made to reach those crucial Spanish-speaking voters. That link is on the screen too. And finally, if you want to listen to my audio podcast, you can follow that link as well. Thanks so much for watching.